Let's read some Glitch in the Matrix stories. Hi, into Matrix. Hi! This is kind of a lengthy story and has a couple of main events that I have trouble explaining, with some smaller occurrences that are kind of weird out of my early childhood and into my early 20s. After thinking them over through the years, I have felt like they have some connection with each other and possibly originating from my stepmom. My parents separated when I was age 6, and my now stepmom came into my life within the year following. She is such a cool person and really treated my brother and I like we weren't little kids, and we respected her for that. I loved her outlook on things like karma and universal and spiritual connection. She was really open about her thoughts on terrestrial spirit. My mother is a Catholic, so she never really talked to us about things like that. But at my dad's, we joked about having a Casper the Ghost around when weird stuff happened. We had a stereo that would randomly turn on at night, or things being found in weird places. After moving to a new house in a new city, I sometimes heard the stereo turn on in the garage and the sound of someone moving the moving boxes around. One day, we heard a loud bang from the pantry, and upon opening the door, we found a can of soup on the floor. The can had been placed at the back of the shelf in a place where it should not have fell. She often told us about weird things happening while we were away at our mom's, but she was always so calm about it and not worried, as though she accepted something was around. She lost her mom at a young age, and I always thought that she felt it was her mom hanging around. She never said that, but that's what makes the most sense to me, why she was so comfortable with the strange thing. Forward into about middle school years, we were staying at her aunt's house, her mom's sister, for her grandmother's funeral, her mom's mom. Her family is also very cool and a great time to hang out with. She has 2 female cousins that are mine and my brother's age, so we really kick it off well. I find that they all share this spiritual fascination, and my stepmom suggested we should all play around with a Ouija board. Stepmom, why? I was cool to stepmom until the Ouija board. Come on, man. Or if you're going to tell them how to play, at least tell them how to play responsibly. At the time, I'm thinking that it's just something kids do for fun to freak each other out. We had a great time that night. We wake up in the morning and we plan to leave later that day. While the grown-ups are out having coffee, us kids take out the Ouija. My brother and I don't really want to leave, so we start asking it to let us stay. We ask it to give us a flat tire. As we're about to leave, it starts snowing, and my brother and I think, yeah, we aren't going anywhere, but my stepmom insists we just have to leave really fast before it gets too bad. So we head to the car, where we find out that we have a flat tire. Kind of a weird coincidence, but we get the tire aired up and head out. About 30 miles out of town, down the highway, the tire blows. That is when I decided that Ouija boards may not be something I want to mess around with anymore. My brother, on the other hand, was fascinated by that. I expressed my dislike to him, and I tried to convince him not to play around with the board anymore. Forward a few more years, my dad and stepmom moved back to our original town, but into a bigger, older house. My brother and I are now living 50-50 with both parents, so we are staying every other week at my dad's house. Being there more often now, I just always feel like someone else is there, even when around other people. There is a loft. It's completely open to and kind of looks over and down the stairs area that I primarily feel someone else hanging around. Either when we were hanging out up there or when downstairs, I still feel someone watching from up there. Most nights, I could hear what sounded like footsteps up the stairs to the loft and down the hallway between mine and my brother's rooms. I asked my brother if he heard it too, and he confirmed that he did. It's an old house with creaks, and I often persuaded myself to think that, but the sound definitely moved through the hallway like someone was strolling through. Almost like they were patrolling the loft and hallway, maybe checking on my brother and I. The occurrences that seemed to affect the whole family now seemed to be directed at my brother and I. I caught my brother and some of our cousins playing with a Ouija board in his room one day, and I got mad at him and had him stop using the board. It was a self-made board, just drawn out, but it was as though I disliked it even more because he went out of his way to make it. This brother is going to get himself into trouble, all right? I hope he has an awakening. The next day, I burned it on the porch. I swear from that point on, the feeling upstairs became a little more uncomfortable. My brother became a lot more withdrawn and hung out in his room alone in the dark most of the time. I'd go in and hang out with him and ask him why he lives in a cave, and he simply says he doesn't like the light fixture, so he keeps it off. You could blame this weird change in character on puberty, but I honestly just did not like being in his room anymore. It almost felt like his room was consuming him in a way. Being the eldest, I left the house first, but I would come home from time to time and stay in my old room. In those years that I was gone, my brother came out as gay. He had a really hard time with acceptance, of course, but the family always supported him. I think that he was really nervous to tell me, and I had actually found out from some mutual friends before he finally told me. I wanted him to take the step to talk to me about it, though. I wanted to let him know that everything was okay and I'd always be there for him. It was at that time I felt like the darkness lifted from him. That stress was really holding his spirit down. I was convinced that that was the reason he had isolated himself in that room for those few years. He had for some reason moved into my old bedroom soon after that, so I'd stay in his old room when I'd come to visit from then on. My girlfriend and I came back for a weekend visit with friends or something. For some reason, no one was at my dad's house that weekend, so we decided to stay there to be alone. So we're staying in my brother's old room. The room is completely empty, just a mattress and a box spring on the floor. We lay down and start to fall asleep. As I am just about to fall asleep, I hear a voice and I wake up immediately, not knowing if I dreamt that or if I actually heard it. The voice was like someone speaking under their voice, like a loud whisper from across the room that softly said, "Come on." As I lay there still wondering if I dreamt that, my girlfriend sits up in bed, turns on the light. She tells me that someone whispered from the closet, and at that moment my blood ran cold and I grabbed my pistol and I checked the closet in the corner of the room where I had heard the voice come from. No one there. I then clear the whole house, but we're alone. We sat there in bed and thought about how that voice could have come from outside, but the voice we both heard was a whisper, as if you were calling someone from across the room from the same corner of the room. You couldn't convince either of us differently. Come on, not a command, but as though something was enticing us to go with it wherever that may be, like it was headed somewhere else. Do you think these occurrences are related? Do you think something is following us? What do you think was calling to us, and where do you think it wanted to take us? Since then, we have remodeled the upstairs into an apartment. That room is still the bedroom. I haven't heard of anything strange from the tenants and have not had any more occurrences since. Okay, I don't think it has to specifically do with your stepmom. I mean, your stepmom did introduce the Ouija board to your brother, so maybe in like a way it was kind of her fault, but it's your brother's fault for keeping using the damn Ouija board. Obviously, if he was such a little recluse in his room and then he was having all these problems and then he literally moved out of that room and then you heard a voice in that room, something was in that room. He probably brought something about with the Ouija board and it was in that room. I think that is like specifically happened in that house. Like when he made that Ouija board, that homemade Ouija board in that house, it had to do with that. I don't think it had to do with where you lived before. I don't think it had to do with your stepmom or anything that she was talking about spiritually or the thing that she used to like see. I feel like this is a completely different entity and it's a not good one, and it came from the Ouija board that your brother made in the room. And I don't think that it's following you unless you are having your own experiences and you live somewhere else, and maybe it attached itself to you or something that you own somehow and moved with you. But if you're not experiencing anything outside of that, and if nobody else is experiencing anything outside of that, then I feel like it's probably okay. I don't think anything's following you. I'm assuming that the entity was calling you. I don't know where it wanted to take you. I literally have no idea, but I'm so glad that you didn't go. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Where do you think this thing wanted to take her? Like, what do you think would have happened if they went over? Thank you so much for sharing this story. I'm Auntie Matrix, and if you like stories like these, make sure you're following me, and you can send me yours right here to this email address. We believe you.